Have you heard of the idea of quiet quitting?
They aren't quitting anything, they are simply implementing work-life boundaries.
As a mindful career and life coach, here's my POV on quiet quitting. It is a slippery slope.
I hate the name of this trend. Quiet quitting, it just sounds so shameful.
Quiet quitting is a really bad idea.
I think it can be called reclaiming our time.
Wow, quiet quitting. This buzzword has kicked up quite a storm in conversations at workplaces globally. After the Great Resignation, quiet quitting has been talked about as the next big trend. It's everywhere, so much so that Gen Z is calling it a revolution. But unlike what it really sounds like, quiet quitting is not exactly about quitting. It is not silently putting in your papers. It is... Wait, hang on. Please like, share, subscribe, press that bell icon so that you can keep seeing all these videos that we do for you right here on Money Control. Alright, so what exactly is quiet quitting? Let's tell you that. The term has basically been coined by younger millennials and Gen Z. Like I said, it's not really quitting, but it means you're doing only and only what you're being paid to do. It's basically quitting the hustle culture. Culture that rewards employees working over and above their pay grade, their KRA. So Gen Z is now saying, I will consciously do lesser work to avoid burnout, but just enough to not get fired. Do you remember this catchphrase, a channel we used to have long time back, maybe in the 90s? Itna paisa mein itna ich milega. Well, that's basically quiet quitting for young employees. In daily life, it means following your contract to the T. If your contract says your work hours are 9 to 5, you will close your laptop at 5 o'clock and leave. If it says day off, you are off. No messages, no emails, no calls. Now, since this trend really picked up, first on TikTok, then on Instagram, now it's reached LinkedIn as well, the definition of quiet quitting itself has become quite a debate. People seem to have interpreted it in two ways, really. One, which is actually a healthy take.
It's not like I work less or I become lazy or anything like that. And because I give more time to relaxing and enjoying things I kind of forgot about, now when I do work, I'm a better worker.
The other one, maybe not so much.
Susan, it's 2022, we're acting our wage, so don't give me extra work. Okay, thank you.
So now the world is torn between what exactly is quiet quitting. Is it about drawing boundaries between work and personal life, or about just doing the bare minimum and nothing else at all? Is it about doing only what's required and not getting exploited, or is it being used to duck out doing work that is actually expected out of your position? Is it about escaping the hustle culture, or is it just a cute name for laziness? The question one has to ask themselves is quiet quitting the first step towards quitting? Or will this trend make employers take note and change work culture for good? And I feel perhaps it's more important to understand the genesis of this term, to understand where the need for this actually began from. See, everyone gets it. Pandemic, work from home. It's been hard, especially for India after so much loss. There has been now a paradigm shift in which we look at work, our lives even.
COVID has brought us face to face with our own mortality. This collective experience that all of us have gone through as a society through COVID is making many of us make choices very differently. We're asking ourselves if it's really worth giving up that weekend with friends and family, which we would not have questioned so much before. We're evaluating the trade-offs we're making for that promotion, that salary.
You see, the genesis of quiet quitting culture came from setting boundaries. And during the pandemic, we all sort of had merged those boundaries, didn't we? There was no time, specific time at least, for work or for personal life. We had to be available all the time for work. And as now life goes back to normal, a lot of people are saying we need to reset those boundaries. They are saying we're not avoiding work, we are simply avoiding overwork. Overwork, which is a serious issue, it can lead to a variety of health issues, both physical and mental. And in the last couple of decades, the global culture of overwork pretty much reached a tipping point. The pandemic only seems to have made it much worse. A Deloitte study interestingly says that 46% of Gen Zs and 45% of millennials feel burnt out due to intense demands of their working environments. Over 40% of them recently quit their jobs, all due to overload and pressure. So instead of living to work, maybe some people are saying, I just want to live instead. This is where, remember, the Great Resignation actually had started. Second, another reason is experts agree that not personalizing your work helps. Things like missing a promotion, having a bad day at work gets actually more manageable if you don't take it very, very personally. And it might even increase your sense of self-worth. But here's the counter-argument. Where does this boundary end? The thin line between quiet quitting and actually not caring about your work. Also, what's important to keep in mind is that the work culture in different countries is quite different. For a broad example, people in the United States work longer hours than those in Europe. According to a study, Americans work on an average about 7 hours a day compared to just about 5 hours a day for people in France. Americans also tend to reply to work emails and messages after work hours, something which is frowned upon in several other places. Take France, for example. You may remember how in 2017 they actually passed a law giving employees the right to disconnect from work emails. Also, Americans take about 2 weeks of paid vacation on an average as compared to 4 to 5 weeks in Europe. India, as we all know, is not great at work-life balance either. Indians work about 33% more hours annually as compared to some places in Europe. But you know what's even more interesting? Guess which is the most overworked city in the world? It's not Mumbai, it's not even New York City. It's Dubai. In fact, work-life balance in New York City has plummeted post the pandemic. So like I said, there is a recalibration of sorts that's happening globally on work-life balance. And it's going to be different for each country, for each company, each individual as well. Clearly for you, my friends, following a blind trend is not ideal. But if you, like many of us, are feeling overwhelmed at work, ask yourself, what is the actual issue? Are you feeling undervalued or just bored? Are you tired of the same role or same job or just feeling burnt out? Quiet quitting could just be an avoidance behavior sometimes to address the actual issues with your employers. So, what's the solution? I'm proposing we remove quiet from quitting. Don't just be bitter about your boss piling up more work at you and get into a quiet quitting zone. But you can actually not stay quiet and actually verbalize it. How you say that is going to be important. Don't just say, I'm so stretched and you just simply don't care. Say, I can take on this new project, but I'm going to have to deprioritize B, C, D. If your boss is giving you work beyond your scope, don't just say, can't anybody else do it? Say that my skills and experience are not really suited for this project. How about this other colleague of mine? I think they'll be great at this job. If you're getting an urgent call on weekends as well, don't just not answer. Either inform your colleagues that you're unavailable, or if you're free, take that work. But also ensure that you have a compensatory off in the following week. Communication, flexibility at both ends is going to be key. If you're feeling stuck at your job, don't just say, I have the most boring job on this planet. Say to your employer, my learnings in this role or department are done. I would love to contribute in more ways and learn new things. When feeling undervalued or underpaid, well, that's going to be a long conversation. And tell us in our comment section below if you actually want us to do a video on that. How to ask for raise at work. If we get enough comments, we'll just do it in our next video. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that if none of this actually works, that's the time for you to consider if this job is really right for you. Quit then after having done this entire process. Find something that is your ikigai, something that gives you purpose and fulfills you completely. So I hope this video helped you understand what exactly is this whole debate about quiet quitting, and I hope it helps you navigate in your career and in your current job as well. Tell us in the comments below what you feel about it, any other suggestions that you might have as well. Also remember to share it with your family and friends. Let's start this conversation. We'll be doing more of these series on Let's Talk Jobs. For now, thanks for tuning in to Money Control.